Night. It's so glad to be here. I can't wait to start talking about and introducing our wonderful speakers that we have today. This is an incredible time that we can all get together. You can ask questions live from the guests that are on here, and they are absolutely phenomenal, especially when it comes to it's all about the business. And that's the business of network marketing. And sometimes that's overlooked, but what I'm hearing from tax accountants and from chartered financial analysts that everybody should have a home-based business. So what we're going to do is I'm Christine Campbell, and I'm the host here for 9 at Night. Every weeknight, we have an incredible hour with all kinds of incredible people around the country making a positive difference. Tonight is all about the business. And on Tuesday night, we have It's All About the Drive, anything with motorsports and an engine and those that are really making a difference in that world. So that's really exciting to be part of. You're going to learn a lot, whether you're involved with that personally or not. You're going to really enjoy these hours with the great guests that we have. Wednesday night, it's all about the talent, and what better way than to have the means and the ways to help people get on the runway in the movies or in the studio. And that's the kind of people we have on there. That's exciting. And then Thursday night, it's all about the money. We're talking, what do you do with all the havoc that's going on? And so there's our chartered financial analyst that definitely will steer you in the right direction. And another exciting night is Friday night, where it's all about the fun. And this is all with 9 at Night. The website is 9atnight.com. So I can't wait to start introducing our first guest. You kind of saw it in the headlines there. But what we're going to do is I'm going to get him up here first, and a little bit about him. His name is Richard Brough. He's a CPA, and he graduated from cum laude with a Bachelor of Arts in accounting with minors in business administration and Mandarin Chinese. And also he has spent over 35 years helping small and home-based business owners increase their profits while helping them save on taxes. Most of those years were also spent as a financial auditor, which provides Richard with a thorough understanding of how an auditor thinks. He now applies this knowledge on every tax return he prepares. I mean, this is the best of the best on specialist, okay? So outside of tax season, he travels the country presenting workshops for the home-based business industry, and he's been listed in publications such as the National Dean's List, America's Registry of Outstanding Professionals, Montclair Who's Who among executives and professionals, and International Who's on entrepreneurs. So with that, I'm so excited to have you on board. Thanks again for coming back, Richard.
Well, thank you, Christine. I appreciate being back again, and really look forward to this every week.
You have quite a bit. I'm going to turn it over. I just want to mention, everybody pay attention to this. This is a huge overview. It is tax time now. Get your notepads and pens. And so back to you, Richard.
Thanks, Christine. Last week, we gave just a little bit of a taste on taxes. This week, we're going to go a little bit more in depth on a few things that most people share as far as deductions. As Christine said, people should really at least give a hard look at having a home-based business. There's so much money that we're spending every day out of our pockets that, if structured correctly, can be converted into business deductions if we just have a home-based business. Now, I'm still going to talk fast. We're only going to cover some really common ones again. I could talk about this for hours, but Christine says we have to shut this down. I don't have all night. So we'll jump right into it. And by the way, each of these slides, they do have my email address. If you have questions you want to run by me, feel free to reach out and email. There'll also be a question and answer time period. So first, I'd just like to congratulate everyone on either having their own home-based business or at least considering that. From whether you want to make some extra money or you want to save on taxes, it's just a good thing to do. I don't know why anybody would not want to at least consider getting into a home-based business. First, let me give you the little disclaimer on what this presentation is not. Okay, it's not intended to be business advice or tax advice for any individual. Everybody's different. Their tax situation is different, and so it's hard to do a presentation like this to generalize to everybody. What I can say is get yourself a good, competent tax advisor. And FYI, TurboTax, not a competent tax advisor. Okay, find somebody who knows what they're doing, specifically in the home-based business arena. And if you're in the direct sales or network marketing, even that much more important that they have direct sales experience. So what is this presentation? And if it's not about giving specific advice on taxes, well, it is to give overall advice, get you thinking, okay, of some things about taxes, because taxes, once you have a profit in your business, taxes are going to be one of your top expenses. Taxes are going to take a third of your profits. And a lot of people, I'll say that and say, well, I'm not in that high of a tax bracket. Well, yes, you are. You know, if you're in a low tax bracket, by the time you pay federal income tax, state income tax, and what's called self-employment tax, which I'll discuss here a little bit later, those all add up to roughly a third of your profits. So you need to be at least aware of things and then run your specific circumstances by a professional. The first thing that you'll need to decide is how you're going to be taxed, what type of entity you should be taxed in. Most people, and the simplest is what's called a sole proprietorship. And there's really nothing you have to do tax-wise or business-wise to get going in it. You just hang out your shingle and say, I'm in business. Okay, start collecting money, start paying business bills, and you're in business. Then there's a partnership. That's when two people go in together and do business. And that can be a spouse, it can be a friend or a neighbor, just somebody you want to do business with. As your business matures and gets a little bit more profitable over time, you want to consider becoming what's called an S corporation. As C corporations also have benefits. They're not as popular in the direct sales industry, but still something to look forward to. Again, your competent tax professional can help you with that. And then probably the least understood or the most confusing entity type is what's called an LLC, or a limited liability company. The reason it's so confusing is there is no tax rules for LLCs. Okay, they're invisible to the IRS. It's something you set up with your state for liability protection. Okay, now some reasons that I do recommend LLCs. Well, let me back up a second, how they're taxed. So if you're a single member LLC, just one owner, you're going to be taxed as a sole proprietorship. If there's more than one owner, a multi-member LLC, you're going to be taxed as a partnership, or you can send in a form to the IRS and tell them you want to be taxed as an S corporation or C corporation. So however you want to be taxed. Okay, and as your business matures and gets bigger, I have one of each. I have a sole proprietorship. I have an entity that's being taxed as a partnership. I have an LLC being taxed as an S corporation, and I have a C corporation. Just different businesses that I have and what the different tax benefits are for each one of them. So again, get with somebody who knows what they're talking about. They can help you decide which is best for you and your circumstances. But the rules I'm going to talk about today are going to be rules as a sole proprietor. Okay, because that is the most common. And I do have people ask me, why should I set up an LLC then? Well, I still strongly recommend LLCs, even if you're going to be taxed as a sole proprietor, for two main reasons. One is kind of a psychological reason. If you're an LLC, you feel more official. You'll conduct yourself more like a business and work harder to make that business succeed. The other reason is, as you're dealing with companies, you'll be required to give them your 10 federal ID numbers, okay, in order to get a 1099 from them. Well, if you're a sole proprietor, the only federal ID number you have is your social security number. And today's age of identity theft and stuff like that, I'm really slow to give social security numbers out. So I'll recommend set up an LLC, have that LLC apply for a federal ID number, then you're giving that out instead of your social security number. Okay, so let's talk about expenses. First of all, a business expense is, the IRS say they have to be ordinary and necessary. Now, what ordinary means is they're just kind of usual. It's something that other businesses spend money on to run their business. Necessary does not really mean it's vital, you have to have it. It means more like it's helpful. So what I like to tell people is, if you spend money that's helpful in your business, it's probably going to be deductible. Now, I'll say probably because there's the exception to every rule, especially in taxes. But so, you know, a lot of people, they want a big, long laundry list. I don't give long laundry lists because they're pages and pages long, and most of that would not apply to you in your situation. So just remember, if you're spending money that's useful or helpful to your business, it's probably going to be deductible. I can talk about a few very common ones that my clients have, and most people have, just in the relatively few minutes we have this evening. One is deducting your vehicle. There's two ways you can deduct your vehicle when it comes to business. One is called the standard mileage rate. And for this year, for 2022, that's 58.5 cents a mile. So every mile you put on your car, you get a 58.5 cent deduction. Now that includes gas, that includes depreciation, wear and tear on your vehicle. They're all those expenses and deductions that commonly used to operate your vehicle, just all kind of balled up in that 58.5 cents. Now you can also take the actual expenses, keep track of your gas, the oil changes, your wiper blades, keep track of all those operating expenses of your car, and you can write off a percentage of them based on the percentage that you use your car in business compared to the total miles that's put on the vehicle. And which one is best for you depends on the vehicle that you drive. For example, in my CPA practice, I drive a used Chevy Malibu. I only paid a couple $1,000s for it. It gets gas mileage. I change the oil every once in a while and it's ready to go. Okay. Now I also work with horses. In those horses, I drive a 1-ton GMC diesel pickup. Okay, it costs more than a couple $1,000s and it does not get 30 miles to the gallon. So now when I take the actual expenses, so it depends on the vehicle that you drive as far as which one is best for you. So again, talk to your tax professional, have them give you some guidance on that. Now, some of the things I talked about, I want to think outside the box a little bit. So it seems kind of obvious if you borrow money for your business, you can write off that interest. However, the thing that I want people to think about is your credit cards. So a lot of people, they'll have a credit card, they'll carry a balance over from one month to the next, which means they're making interest payments on it. Well, payments on personal credit cards are not deductible, zero deduction. However, and so a lot of my clients, they'll spend their cash to pay off their personal credit cards. They'll spend cash to pay off their business credit cards and carry a balance over on their personal credit card. Kind of reverse that. Use your cash to pay down your personal credit card and carry over that balance on your business card. Now that's 100% business interest and 100% deductible. Now I will say, if at all possible, don't carry over balances and pay that expensive interest on it. But if you have to, let's try to get the tax deductions out of it. Okay, let's talk about meals. There's two types of meals in your business. One type would be a local meal. That is when you maybe go out and talk to a prospective customer about why they need your product and the importance of your product or service. Or maybe it's going out with a coworker, associate of yours, and you're talking about marketing ideas. Okay, those meals are deductible. You have to talk business at them, but they are deductible 50%. You can write off 50% of those meals. Then there's also travel meals. Travel meals is when you're out of town overnight. And those meals, you don't have to be sitting, you can be by yourself. You don't have to talk business during those meals. You just have to be out of town overnight for business. And those meals, they have kind of like the vehicles, they have what's called a per diem or the actual. So you can keep track of what you actually spend on those meals, or you can take what's called the per diem, which they just give you so many dollars a day. Depending on where you're at, that's around $60 per day. So usually for me, I'm better off to take that per diem than the actual expenses because I'm cheap when it comes to eating out, especially if I'm by myself. Now travel, there's one very important word to the IRS, and that's, I've got it bolded on there, primary purpose. Okay, the primary purpose for your travel needs to be for business. If so, then all those business related expenses are deductible. Your airfare, your taxi, your Uber, your motels, your meals, all those things are deductible if the primary purpose for that trip is business. And one thing I really like about home-based businesses, especially in the direct sales industry, is with a little bit of foreplanning and thinking ahead, you can make a lot of your travel have the primary purpose for doing business. Almost everywhere I go, I can be talking to people about taxes, or I also have a financial literacy program. I can talk to them about their finances. So with a little bit of foresight and contacting some people that's in the area, I can make those tax deductible trips. Advertising, that seems kind of obvious too, but again, thinking outside the box here a little bit. A lot of my clients, most of them are very generous people, and they have their favorite charities that they give to. And so let me give you an example here. Let's say I go to my favorite charities having a bake sale for a fundraiser. And so I will go and I will buy a plate of really good cookies for $100. Okay, that's not a business deduction, that's a donation. And lots of people do not qualify to itemize deductions, and they'll lose those donations. Even if they do itemize deductions and are able to take that, business deductions are always better. So what's if instead of buying a plate of cookies, I talk to the fundraising people and say, hey, is there any way I can advertise? Can I put up a small banner somewhere where you're having that bake sale at? Can I pay for some flyers or advertising things for it with a little thing on the bottom of it advertising my business or my website? It's got to be legitimate advertising. Okay, but if you do, now you're still giving that same $100 out of your pocket, but now it's a business advertising expense rather than a donation. Now, depending on the cookies, I might be also spending $100 on those cookies. We have some really good bakers around here. One of my favorite deductions is paying children. If you have children under the age of 18, they are not subject to any of the payroll taxes, such as Social Security and Medicare. But they can also make almost $13,000 before they have to pay any taxes. So bottom line, it's tax deductible to you, it's tax-free to them. And you can, if they're doing legitimate work, you can pay them more than that $13,000 because they're probably in a lower tax bracket than you are. So it's still lower taxes. But they can take that money and put into a Roth IRA and let that grow tax-free until they, it's a good way to set them up. And the best benefit of this actually is not only the tax deductions that you get, but it's teaching your children financial literacy. Okay, pay them a wage for the work that they're doing. Let them manage their own finances. If they want to buy a car, okay, start saving up. You can buy a car. You want those fancy, expensive school clothes? Okay, it's coming out of your pocket, not mine. You're teaching them the value of money and the value of working. Now, again, it's got to be legitimate work. You cannot pay your child $1,000 a month to take the garbage out of your home-based business. Okay, so it's got to be legitimate work. But there's some really creative things I've had clients do over the years that is good, legitimate work that have given them this deduction. Now, you can also hire your spouse. So, for example, in my CPA practice, I hire my wife, and I give her an employee benefit of health insurance. I also set up an HSA for her. So now my health insurance and my HSA, my medical expenses, are now fully deductible as a business expense, as an employee benefit. Now you do need to be a little bit careful. The IRS does look at it pretty closely, so make sure you got your I's dotted and your T's crossed, and there are companies that help you set this up. It's called a Section 105 plan to make sure that's all legitimate. Now, another thing, your spouse has to be working in the capacity of as an employee and not a co-owner, which works well for my CPA practice because she can't be a co-owner in my CPA practice even if she wanted to. But so in other words, she can't be making business decisions and working the business with me. She's just doing it in the place of an employee. This also works well going back to the travel one, because darn it, I require her to come with me when I do this tax, when I do my tax workshops. I do tax workshops. Lots of times there's a lot of people there. And so she will be in the back talking to people and giving them out business cards and letting them know how to get a hold of me. So darn, I got to take her on these business trips with me. And so it works out good from the medical standpoint as well as the traveling, be able to take your spouse with you. Another good deduction for those that qualify for it is the home office deduction. And for this, you need an area in your home that's used exclusively and regularly for business. Now, the IRS takes that exclusive very seriously. Okay, it can't be the kitchen table, it can't be the coffee table in the family room. It's got to be an area in your home that's used exclusively for business. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be 4 walls. It needs to be visually identifiable. So again, an example, I have a client who has a very large master bedroom. But if you walked in their bedroom, looked over in the corner, there's a desk with a computer on it, a filing cabinet, their copy machine. It's identified clearly that is their business office. Then is what you do is you take the square footage that's used there exclusively for your business, compare that to the square footage of your home, and you get to deduct a percentage of a lot of stuff. So here's an example of some of the stuff that you can deduct. Maintenance on your home, painting. Now, I will say if you paint your kitchen, you don't get to deduct any of it. That has nothing to do with your business. If you paint your office, that's 100% deductible because it only benefits your office. If you paint your whole home, then that percentage of it is deductible. Okay, you can actually write off the depreciation of your home, your homeowner's insurance, utilities, a portion of your real estate taxes, mortgage interest, or rent if you're renting. All those things are now partially business expenses and give you deductions that all add up. The office furniture and equipment that's in that office is probably going to be 100% tax deductible because you're using that equipment 100% for your business. So your desk, your chair, your computer, your copier, the furnishings of that office would all be deductible. And also gives you actually a bigger mileage deduction for miles on your vehicles, making more of your mileage deductible if you qualify for that home office deduction. So I'm just going to mention here the self-employment tax, give a brief definition of what that is. Now, if you don't make money on your profit the first few years, you're not probably going to show a profit in your business. So you'll have tax losses. In that case, you owe no self-employment tax. It's only made on your profits. But what it is, it's just Social Security and Medicare for people that are self-employed. When you have a W-2, your employer withholds it from you, right? And then they match that and send it into the government. Well, when you're self-employed, there's nobody to withhold it from you, so you have to pay it and pay it into the government. And this is a big shocker. The first time people have this, it's just you're kind of paying double taxes. You're paying income tax, plus you're paying Social Security taxes, which you have all the time. It's just that it's easier when somebody else is withholding it from you. Now, the biggest things, most important things to have in your business is, even as important as knowing what's deductible, is making sure it gets on your tax return. And the only way that's going to happen is if you have a good bookkeeping system. Okay. Again, I've been doing this for 35 years, and people just miss out on tons of deductions if they don't have a good bookkeeping system. I like ones that actually connect to your bank account, to your credit card. So every time you swipe your debit card or your credit card, I know we've got those deductions. The second thing I'd like to emphasize is documentation. So it doesn't do you any good to get on your tax return if the IRS can throw it out if you're ever audited. Now, hopefully you're never audited, but if you are, you need to be prepared for it. As Christine said in my introduction, I'm also an auditor, and I don't audit for the IRS. It's kind of the opposite. I audit the government. I audit governmental entities and utility companies, but I know documentation. I know my clients are good, honest people, but as an auditor, when I have that auditor's cap on, I don't care. You know, I don't believe you. I don't disbelieve you. My job is to verify. The IRS is the same way. So if you don't have proper mileage logs, if you don't have proper receipts and documentation, it gets tossed out on your tax return. Okay. And again, documentation is not really that hard once you understand it. One thing that I will say a lot of people have confusion on, though, is just because your bank statement or your credit card statement says you bought something at Staples does not prove that it was for your office. I have a lot of people saying, I don't keep my receipts because I use my credit card. My credit card says I bought something at Staples. That's exactly what it shows. It shows you bought something. You got to have the receipt to show that it was actually copy paper and ink for your printer. So you need the bank statements, credit card statements, and you need those receipts. Now, the bookkeeping and documentation side of it with technology, there's no reason to not have a good system. There are apps out there that you link to your bank accounts. You take pictures of the receipts to attach them to that transaction, to document it. It uses your GPS unit in your phones to track your miles. There's no reason not to have a good bookkeeping and documentation system. And these apps are under $10 a month. It's tax deductible. It's your business bookkeeping system. So I talked fast, and hopefully I made sense on most things. Again, my email address is there. Shoot me an email if you have any questions or anything. You know, shoot me an email with questions. We can talk about some other time in the future on these on our show here. So Christine, with all of that, I am going to turn the controls back over to you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. That's been a real treat. I just love watching all of this over and over again. I do want to mention, we just started having an employee, my husband, in the company that we have. And yeah, we were surprised by the labor law taxes that we had to pay. That was a whole big shock. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Does it get easier after that?
Easy is in the eyes of the beholder. I've been doing this for 35 years. Yeah, it's pretty easy. You know,
yeah, 35 years.
But when you start doing with payroll, yeah, I'd have somebody help you with that, because the IRS, they can get pretty nasty with late payroll tax payments and stuff like that. it's hard to know exactly when they're due. So I'd also have a good payroll service help you out with that.
Excellent. Well, we sure appreciate you, Richard. What we're going to do, we're going to have a little break for our nonprofit we're going to display today, and then we're going to go to our second guest. But after that, we're going to have time for questions. So be thinking of your questions. So sure appreciate you, Richard. You're definitely awesome.
Having a child in the hospital is incredibly hard for parents and really difficult for the child too. But seeing a child smile because we were able to add a little bit of happiness and fun to their healthcare journey is an amazing feeling. In fact, it's our passion. Working in the US and overseas, I was sad to see that healthcare-related pain and suffering is universal. So, in 2010, Standish Foundation for Children began work to transform the healthcare experience for children. Today, we work to create new ways to help children and their families make the best of a tough situation.
Our caring and dedicated team is volunteer-led and made up of patients and parents, as well as professionals who are clinicians, educators, and advocates. Our team members have devoted their lives to helping children and are experts in addressing the psychosocial needs of patients and their families. Together with healthcare providers and donors, we work to make the healing process more hopeful and happy.
Our team collaborates with children's hospitals, clinics, and nonprofit organizations in the U.S. and around the world. We also support hospitalized children of U.S. military personnel. We guide in the education of staff and parents, teach child advocacy, offer psychosocial support, and give financial assistance to make the child's healthcare experience as positive as possible.
As healthcare technology continues to evolve, it's important to remember to embrace our common humanity. Fear is present for well checks, emergency room visits, as well as complex care involving surgery, chemotherapy, or organ transplantation. These procedures are scary, and we believe that no child should have to be afraid to go to the hospital or to the doctor's office. We know the research and strategies to minimize pain and suffering, and we know healthcare and healing can be positive. In fact, when children experience healthcare in a positive way, it contributes to their physical and emotional well-being, helping them reach their full potential.
We are honored to have donated over $200,000 in hundreds of volunteer hours to support 40 hospitals and clinics in the U.S. and overseas. Annually, our programs impact over 500,000 children. We need your help.
We need your help.
Now we need your help.
We need your help.
We need your help.
To further transform children's healthcare experiences and to ensure each child and family has access to a positive, hopeful, healing experience.
Okay, that's Standish Foundation for Children, and the website is standishfoundation.org. So I'm excited to introduce our next guest. This gentleman definitely has, oh gosh, he's made a wonderful impact, and we're talking years in the network marketing world. George's passion, his name is George Madiou, And his passion is helping serious network marketers create financial success in their business and in their lives. And for the past 16 years, George has been the publisher and founder of the Network Marketing Magazine. He's the creator of the 27%er Success Training System. And he's going to tell us a little bit about it. One of the most effective MLM educational platforms on the market today. He has 2 degrees in marketing and management from New York University. And he's a family man. Family is everything to him. He's been married 43 years to his wife, Debbie, and they have 2 adult children. Sarah is married to Greg with grandson Jacob, and his newly married son, David, is married to Katie. So we're so excited to get to meet George a little bit more and to have quite a bit of fun here. So thank you, George. We appreciate you and welcome. Are you there, George? He's coming. Oh, there he is. You're muted. So just unmute yourself and then you'll show up.
I got it.
Okay, you got it for sure. You know, when Richard introduced me to you, and I understand you and Richard are working together. Why don't you tell a little bit about on Richard from your perspective, and then we're going to talk about you.
So I've owned over 35 businesses and in 6 different industries. So I understand the need for great tax help. And Richard, when I met Richard, he stands heads above so many others. And one of the nice things about being friends with Richard, I've learned, I've had the advantage of collaborating with him to a point where Richard is now becoming the CFO of the Network Marketing Magazine, and the CFO, especially with his audit capabilities of our nonprofit Business for Vets. So this is a man that really knows what he's doing. And anybody that grabs that email of his and asks him questions, he's there and he's readily available to help anybody. So
that is excellent.
Great guy.
Yeah. Well, we think so. What I'm going to do is I have your website that I pulled up. Let's talk before I pull that up. Why don't you tell us about how did the Network Marketing Magazine come about and your purpose with that?
Well, I've been in network marketing for 3 decades where we understand that with my background of being a serial entrepreneur and not afraid of being in businesses, many people enter network marketing and have never been in a business of their own. And so when I got introduced to network marketing, I realized that out of all of the businesses, out of all of the different industries that I had been involved in, network marketing really was the epitome of being in a great business, and it's available for just about anyone who's willing to learn the skill sets necessary to become successful in their business. I also knew that people needed some help. They needed to be guided. And so we're coming up to our 17th year in the Network Marketing Magazine. As a matter of fact, this coming month will be our 197th consecutive monthly issue. And,
congratulations.
Thanks. And you know, the thing is that what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we got a hold of the true experts in the business to teach on subjects like prospecting and leadership and sales, and really having those people that wanted to learn the skill sets necessary, we had the true experts to be able to be there and to go ahead and guide them to become successful in their business. Now, network marketing, unfortunately, there are 70% of the network marketers out there that join a network marketing company, but they think they bought themselves a network marketing lottery ticket. And this isn't a lottery. This is work. It's the reason why they call it network marketing. And so, you know, when a person puts in the time necessary to learn the skill sets, it is so well worth having that that effort that they're going to end up putting in to be able to go ahead and build a business that many workers out there will be envious of, because they're not only going to be able to make some really significant income from their own business and take advantage of all the tax advantages that Richard has talked about, but one of the biggest advantages of network marketing is the time freedom. In the introduction, you ended up talking about my two children. Well, they're no longer just children, they're young adults with families of their own. And it was just absolutely incredible to be able to go and be a part of their school trips. And I would ask the mothers, because I was usually the only dad on these school trips, and I would ask them, where are the dads? And they have to work. And I would say, why? You know, there are other alternatives. So
I love what you're doing, and you've interviewed so many incredible leaders. I mean, you've had a total of how many interviews that you've done? A lot.
We've had over 3,500 articles
Wow.
in the last 17 years. And we've had well over 300 contributors to the magazine, real experts in the industry, people that have some experience in the network marketing world, know names like Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar, Tom Big Al Schreider. These are people that stand out, and they've all been a part of teaching our members. So really exciting to see how the members have really grown as a result of this platform.
So here's your magazine that I pulled up, and I have the current topic. So when somebody comes to this, what do you, and when you're reading it or anybody does, can you kind of do an overview of what, of where it goes? Just the,
you know, we end up having in the magazine a couple of different sections. We like to give our contributors some guideline as far as the topic. This month here, are you playing to win or are you playing not to lose? That's an interesting topic, because a lot of networkers play it very safe. They play it not to lose, and therefore they don't really succeed. You know, one of the things that I've found in all of the businesses that I've been in is that they were not all huge successes. Some people would indicate that they might have been a bunch of failures in there, but those failures were businesses that I really learned a tremendous amount from. And my success today really comes from that. We've we invite people, you know, you're scrolling by a couple of great leaders. The woman on the right, Gisela Jabin, is a woman from Wales, and she is known as one of the top 100 businesswomen in the world.
Oh my heavens.
Russ Devan in the middle. Russ, some people might know a book called The Greatest Networker in the World. And for
Mhm.
years, I tried to find out from John Fogg, who wrote that book, who was the greatest networker. And Russ and I crossed paths over the 3 decades, but we never met one another.
Oh my
And this past year, he and I met and became fast best friends. And I found out during one of our conversations that John Fogg, when he wrote the book, The Greatest Networker in the World, the character he wrote about happened to be Russ Devan.
I'll
So
be
he not only writes for us, he has a column in our magazine. Stephanie Oden is a fairly new networker, but just a brilliant woman, brilliant person, brilliant networker, and she is just so much fun and has so much wisdom. And that's what I really like about the magazine. We have such a wide variety of people teaching in all different aspects of the network marketing profession.
You know, what I love about your magazine, because a lot of times we're just focused with our own personal company, but this makes it such a worldwide family where we're all in the same industry together and we can learn
Sure.
from one another. And that's what you've done. Can you say a little bit about each one of these writers?
Yeah, Randy Gage is probably one of the most successful networkers in our industry today. Just a brilliant guy with so much wisdom that you could walk away and just reading one article from him and get one tip that can last you a lifetime in your business. Stacy Hall, again, is a person that has created such tremendous success in the industry. She actually interviews some of the best women in the industry, and she also writes a column beside her article here. But Dr. Peter Pearson, he's a guy that's really extremely interesting. He's a psychologist along with his wife. And we're going to be starting a program starting actually this Wednesday on my podcast. And what Peter and his wife teach is they help entrepreneurial couples go through the process that people might have working with their spouse. And just again, another a brilliant contributor. And every single one of these people, you read one article in there. I mean, it is impossible for you to not get something that you can walk away and apply to your business. David Feinstein. David is a guy that I've invited contributors to write every single month.
Oh, wow.
And it gives us a way of being shining a light on them. David went one step further. Every month, David writes 2 articles a month. And I'm just blown away with some of the tips. He's always writing on the topic of the month, but he also draws in something that's really, important to him. Ron Wilder, he is such an incredible character. He's helped me enormously on the technical side of business, and Dr. Hackett, he's another guy that his tie-in with network marketing. He teaches a lot of network marketers. He also teaches doctoral students, and his wife is a big leader in Mary Kay, who has gotten her, I think, 26th pink Cadillac. That's how successful she
That's
is.
quite a bit.
I also want to point out the bar on top, and next to login is cut off language. All right. What we ended up doing was we made sure that since the magazine is really international,
Oh my
we're
God.
able to turn all 3,500 articles with a click of a button, to Spanish and French and English and Swahili and
Oh my gosh,
Mandarin.
look at that.
And so it really truly is an international magazine. And right underneath that is a box. And if you scroll down, that box there, just
And-
scroll down a little bit. It's a search bar.
Oh,
And
okay.
you could, if you're weak in, say, prospecting, you could just type in prospecting, and up will come just an incredible 309 articles
Oh
on
my
just
gosh.
prospecting. All right. So over the years, the magazine morphed from a magazine to a resource. Like we talked about before,
Mhm.
graduating from NYU, I used to walk up Fifth Avenue to the New York Public Library.
Mhm.
And one day I realized that the Network Marketing magazine has turned into the New York Public Library of network marketing.
This
And
is
so it
excellent.
changed from a magazine to a real resource. So
This is excellent. Well, I sure appreciate it. I know you said I'm going to send my book to you, and you said you'd read it.
absolutely, absolutely.
Because we talked about it. It's geared just for those newbies and those just starting that may not have anyone help them. And
Well, I love the fact that you're a newbie. I invite you to be a contributor to the magazine,
oh my gosh, I would love that.
and it's so great to have the perspective from so many people.
Mhm.
Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar. I was blessed to have them as friends.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they were the two of them were two of the most prolific writers to the magazine. But what you will bring is such a different slant to the magazine, because there's far more newbies out there than experienced networkers.
Well, I would love it. And I thank you so much. That's an honor. So just email me what I'm supposed to have when and how many words. And I love
Well,
it. You would
Jim
really-
Rohn asked me, how many words do you want the article to be? I said, how many words do you need to teach us what you want to teach us?
Okay.
So I've got people writing 300-word articles. I got people writing 3,000-word articles.
Oh, that's
So
excellent. Well, I used to be a columnist in a couple of formats. One was Power Up Your Positives. It was through a society thing, and once a week I had a power word. It's like the power of determination, the power of this. I have tons of columns, but into network marketing, my book kind of really incorporates that with the positive affirmations, which is absolutely needed. And your power trays absolutely needed to kind of keep you going. But I also was a columnist for a racing magazine, and I trained on 13 different race cars just so I could write a good article.
Yeah, that's
So-
great.
So this would be great for me. I would love it. And of course, to work with you, George, and with Richard through this show as well as magazine is just an honor. And I cannot say thank you enough. Thank you.
Thank
What I
you for
wanna-
having me on.
Oh, you bet. What I want to do is we have a little bit of time for questions. I want to pull up your slide here. So this is where it is. Here is George's email, but the website is the networkmarketingmagazine.com. Now, to be a subscriber of that, what does it cost for that, or is it for anybody, or how does this work?
Yeah, it was we charged $28 a month. And
Okay.
what we did was, when we ended up expanding worldwide,
Mhm.
we changed the pricing. We went from $28 a month to $9 a month.
Wow.
Because I've got networkers, for example, in West Africa,
Mhm.
in Ghana, and my friend, the leader there, I knew that she had a lot of people that couldn't afford $28 a month.
Oh,
So
you're a
we just
sweetheart.
decided to bring the price down to $9, and that includes not only this month's issue, but all 196 issues in the past. So a person for $9 ends up getting the entire
library.
the entire library.
There you go. That is incredible. I pay a lot of money for books, and I just, for a certain component in it, this is wonderful. It's well worth the $9.95. Richard, I want to bring you back on too. I want to know, Richard, okay, what are your words about George? He got to tell on you, so.
Well, first of all, thank you for those kind words, George. I'll get you your money next opportunity I have for your endorsement.
Bring it up to $20, please.
So I've known George now for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. When we were first introduced, we pretty much have kind of the kindred spirit from the standpoint, just want to help people successful. It's like, yes, I want to save people on taxes, but more than saving on taxes, I want them to be successful in their network marketing in their network marketing business. Okay, and George is not going to be a stranger here. We're going to have him on often, but maybe next time we can go into more exactly what the 27%ers are.
Okay.
Because that's the people we really want to focus on and get them the training and stuff like that. And he'll explain this all in the future. But George just has that passion to make people successful. If you look at the statistics in direct sales network marketing, that's the few. You know, most people, like George says, they treat it as a hobby, as they won the lottery. They think if they can float along and make millions of dollars without doing anything. And so, yeah, George and I hit it off, just trying to help people be successful. I want to help people maximize their profits in their business, as well as minimizing their taxes.
Well, I fit right in. My whole point with this 9atNight is to really help those people that really deserve to be seen and heard. And just another, now compared to everybody, you know, George and Richard and all the kudos, I'm just lucky to have a little speck of that in your life with this 9atNight. So thanks so much. Okay, so what we want to do, if any of you have any questions, this is a time to ask George or Richard about taxes, about the magazine, about any favorite leaders that you may have a question about, because George has probably been best friends and has interviewed them in some way because he's been there for a while. So let's get them out. I want to give a big tribute. This is our second week of running every night per week. And so we're getting the word out. I want to say big thanks to Chris, the Sheminot in Utah, Carla Johnson from Billings, or she doesn't live in Billings, but nearby, to a big wordy name that I'm hard to pronounce, and Catherine Fieri in Billings. And we have a few others. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. And without the questions and stuff, out of everybody, George, and I'm probably putting you on the spot, it's like a child, you can't say one. Is there any particular person that stands out above all the rest from everybody that you've met?
As far as a teacher goes,
Yeah,
or
a
just a
teacher,
personality?
just
As-
the first person that comes to your mind. When I
Well,
say
Zig
that,
Ziglar to me just is had been just an incredible person in my life before I had the magazine. And I learned so much from him. And you know, when he passed away, he was sorely missed. And we're having his daughter Julie, who actually edited all of his books,
oh wow.
on our show coming up, and her topic is going to be growing up Ziegler, and so
Wow, that's
I'm
gonna
sure
be
she's
so
going to have
cool.
some great stories.
Well, we have a couple questions. How can we subscribe to the magazine? And I can bring up the website again.
If you just go to the networkmarketingmagazine.com, the landing page,
Let me do this again.
will just bring you right into
Okay, let me
finding
just,
out more about it.
there we go. Here I go. So there we go. That's the landing page.
So yeah, and learn more. We'll tell you more about the magazine and give you an opportunity to join. So
Oh,
that's the
beautiful.
easiest way.
It's just, oh, there you go. This is a beautiful layout. Yeah, you've had some incredible, you know what? I was looking up a couple of people you mentioned that you had interviewed, and it's amazing. I thought I knew them, but you really know them. So George,
So
this
that's that picture there that you just scrolled by. That's Zig and his wife, who we refer to as the redhead. Right? A little further down was Dennis Waitley, just a brilliant teacher. Ended up just not only teaching networkers, but business in general. And he worked with the Olympic teams. The middle is Tom Big Al Schreider. There's a man that teaches on what to say,
Mhm.
and he's another brilliant guy that you wonder, you know, if I were going to pick one person to help a newbie to kick off their business, I would say to do a search on Big Al, Tom Big Al Schreider, in the magazine, and he has written just hundreds of articles, and in each article are little snippets of what to say. That's probably one of the biggest questions that I get. What do I say to my neighbor or my friend or my relative? And you know, Big Al ends up doing that.
Well, I sure appreciate it. Darn, this has gone by pretty fast. And I'll tell you, I sure appreciate. Here is George Madiou's contact again. His email is george@thenetworkmarketingmagazine.com. To subscribe, go to thenetworkmarketingmagazine.com. And again, I can't say enough. Thank you so much. Richard, thank you so much too for being on here tonight. I can't wait till next week. We're going to learn a lot more on it's all about the business, the network marketing business. So we're going to close out. Thanks to everyone being here. We sure appreciate you.
Thank you, Christine. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Christine.
Good night.